Hey guys, in today's video we're going to be using Desmos calculator. So I'm going to show you some tricks that you can do on the calculator whenever you have practice problems um, or assessments, and how you can use those. How can you use Desmos to better help you, right? So let's say you don't understand a problem, but you know that they gave you something like right here. How can I add points? If they gave me 2 points, what can I do with them, right? So you would just type those 2 points in Desmos. -2 comma 6, and I like to put the next one underneath it so it gives me a different color. 1 comma -3. Okay, and so one of my points is now red, the other one is blue, and you can zoom in and zoom out to look at them. Okay, well, what about it, Miss? What is it gonna do? Well, if it asks you for the slope, first of all, you need to know how the formula of slope and how you can use that. You can put it on here and then type the points in there if you want to. You can also, if it asks you, does these 2 points go through this equation? Does this line go through those 2 points? I can check it, right, by putting the points in there, putting the equation in there. So I'm going to type y equals -3x. Does my green line go through those 2 points? Yes, it does, right? And if it had more equations, let's say y equals -3x plus 5, I can turn the green one off by pressing that little button, and then it only shows me the purple one now, and I can see that it did not go through my points, so that would not have been my answer, right? So I'm going to turn that one off. I can turn the other one on, and you can do that with the points as well. You can hide them if you want to. You can turn them on if you want to. Okay, you can also, let's say they gave you this equation, I type it in there, I can press the gear button and I can open up the table for that equation. So I can look for those points. I can look for -2, 6, it's right there. I can look for 1 comma -3, it's right there. Okay, and it gives you the rest of the points. If you want to look for more points, you can just press enter, or you can type the number, like let's say I'm looking for 100, you can type 100 and it'll give you the Y. Okay, so that's really cool. What else can you do in Desmos? So you can also type those 2 points. So let's type 2 comma 100 and 4 comma 500. And notice they don't appear here because those numbers are really big. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom out until I see them. There goes my blue one, and there goes my green one, right? So, and then you can hit the house button and it brings it back to the normal grid. What else can you do with Desmos? I can add a table. So if it gives me this table, I can add a table by hitting the plus button and adding the table, and just type those numbers in there. I like to go the X's first, so 0, enter 1, enter 2, enter 3. I don't need 3, I need 4, enter, and 5, enter. And on the other side, I'm going to put 1, 4, 7, 13, and I'm entering as I go. And then it types your points on here. Now you can zoom out, and you can clearly tell that that's a line, right? Because it might ask you, is this linear or not? Yes, it is linear because it's a straight line, right? What else can they ask me? They can ask me for which equation best represents the linear function below. So these equations are my answer choices. This is my table. So I can put my equations in here and see which one goes through all of those points. So my first equation is y equals 4x plus 1. That doesn't go through my points. The next one is y equals 3x plus 1. And that goes through my points. I can turn this one off and just make sure I can zoom in, right? So my answer would be right here, B, because that's the one that goes through all of those points, that table. Okay, so that's something pretty cool, right? Then I can also add a table that looks like this. So, I mean, even though it's sideways, I can still add it, right? So I can say add a table. And my x's go first. That's the number of weeks. So 0, 1, 3, 6, 8, and 13. And then on the other side, I'm going to do 32, 39, 53, 74, 88, and 123. And then I'm going to zoom out. You can push these buttons if you want to. I'm just doing my mouse. And you can tell that that's a line, that's a linear equation. And then you can look at the answer choices and type the answer choices in here and see which one goes through all of the points. They can also ask you what's the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is the one that crosses on the y-axis, right? So that would be that one, and it tells you that it's 0, 32. So that would be your y-intercept. That's the starting point, what they started with. Okay, what if they give you equations? So I can add equations on here just how I've been telling you. I can type f of x equals 1 divided by 2. Make sure you arrow over because you see how you're at the bottom right here? You got to be up here in the top. So x plus 3. Okay, and it can graph it for you. I hit that little house button so it can go back to normal. I can click on my intercepts. Those are my intercepts right there. And I can answer some questions like, what's f of 4? Okay, so f of 4, I can type it right here, f parentheses 4, and it gives me the answer. It's 5. I can also even open the table up for that one and go look for 4. What does 4 give me? It gives me 5. So as you can see, it's the same thing. F of 4 is the same thing. Okay, so I can put that right there. I'm going to say that that is 5. And then let's answer another question. What is the 0? So the 0 of that equation, it's in my graph. 0 is another word for x-intercept. X-intercept. So make sure that you write that down. So my x-intercept right here where it crosses the x-axis is at -6. So my answer would be -6, and that's my x-intercept. Okay. Now they gave us another equation, so I can type that equation in. So let me delete these. Y equals 1 divided by 3. Make sure you arrow over x plus 1. Okay, here's my x-intercept. Here is my y-intercept. What is the question asking? It's asking for the slope and the y-intercept. So I know that my y-intercept is right here. So 0, 1. So 1 is my y-intercept. And it's also found right here, right? Because this is your b, your y-intercept. And then the slope is this one right here, the one that has the x. So my slope is 1/3. Pretty easy, okay? The next one, let's type this in Desmos. Okay, well, if you're using the Texas calculator, which that's what I'm using right now, parentheses, x minus 1, it's not going to graph it. You see how it has that little exclamation mark? It says that it cannot graph it. Why? Because I need to move this to the other side, and I need to change the sign. So instead of minus, it becomes a plus, okay? So make sure that you do that. So if it's not graphing it, make sure that everything's on that side. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to move this to the other side and change the sign to a +2. And there, it graphed it, right? So now it gives me the the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Remember, this is my 0 because it's my x-intercept, and then this is my y-intercept. So what is the question asking? The question is asking for the slope. The slope is right here next to the x. So 1/5. Okay? And my 0, we just found the 0 right now. The 0 is right here. Not this one, this one. -9. So -9 is my 0. Okay, this next one is an inequality, so you can graph it just like that, I think. Let me see. Let's see if it does it. Y less than -7 divided by 2, x, hold on, x minus 2. Oh no, it won't graph it either. So what I can do is I can make it equal. And so it at least graphs your equation, so you know what it looks like. But then you have to know that that symbol means it's a dashed line. And because it's less than, we're shading below, down at the bottom. So let's answer these questions. What type of line is it? It is a dashed line because of the symbol. And which way is it shaded? It's shaded below. And below means that we are shading down. Okay? Let's answer a few more questions, and then you guys are going to be working some problems out. How do you graph this type of line? Right? How do you graph this? You cannot graph it like that. We have to change it to y equals 35x. Okay, so when you see something like that, this is how you would graph it. Y equals 35x. Okay, what about this one? How would you graph that? Well, I know for sure that the slope is -3 because that's where it's at. But I need to go find the y-intercept. And in order for me to find the y-intercept, remember, I have to move this over to the other side and do what to it? Change the sign. So if it was positive, now it's a minus. So when you graph it, and remember, even if you forget, just move it over and change the sign. So I have y equals, because I moved it over, -3 parentheses x minus 2 close parentheses minus 3, and it graphs it. Okay, so again, this is what happened. That won't graph, right? That's what it was. So I'm going to take that and move it to the other side and change the sign, and then it graphs it. So here's my y-intercept, here's my x-intercept. It asked me for the y-intercept, so that's 3. Okay,